you maggots, listen up. I was doing this video, and the camera just decided to go out of focus. I was using it without the light. I was using just the light that's built into the camera. And I looked over at the monitor, and I noticed it had gone out of focus. And it was, I know it would drive you crazy. All right, when you're doing the IF cans, I got some more information. I know some people go, this is boring. I don't want. That's because this video is for someone that's going to work on these 3 IF cans, and I want to show you the one capacitor on this second IF can. The second IF can is the hardest one to do. Now I want to show you real quick this capacitor. Notice there's a resistor hanging on the bottom. There's 2 of them on the FM side. Let me see if it went back focus. Okay. This is the toughest IF can you probably could ever find. The wires are very fine. Oh, and each side of this capacitor with that resistor on there has a fine wire coming up from the coil. Solder suck the solder off the terminals, or actually the wires of the capacitor, and then try to unwind them or unpeel them or salvage them best you can. If you break one, wrap some, when you put a new cap in, wrap some bus wire around the lead, tin it, and bring it down towards the wire. It'll now be too short. Tin the wire for the IF coil, touch them together, and then solder them. If you do break one of the wires, you got to be prepared for everything on this one. And what else I want to say about it? It's the hardest one. When you do this IF for this, do number 1 first, number 3, and by that time you should have enough practice to do number 2. 2 is a nightmare. I'm looking at stuff down on the bottom. I've done the top capacitor for the AM, and I had some surprises. And now I found out that the FM side on the top has that resistor. So this thing is loaded with surprise. And right here, there's a tiny piece of bus wire, and that goes from this capacitor here to the other side. They originally used the leads of the capacitors to connect them from one side to the other. I'm doing it a little bit differently to make myself a little bit more sane. Yesterday I noticed my nose wasn't running, and whenever that happens, vertigo comes right after. So you got to picture me trying to tilt my head and do an IF can yesterday, and every time I did that, you get a little bit of a shakiness. Then whenever you stand for a while with vertigo and go sit down, you get like a rush. It's a real pain in the ass. Today my nose is running pretty good. I can feel the vertigo is there, but what happens is mucus goes backwards. Instead of coming out of my nose, it goes back into one of the ear ducts. But I know to blow my nose with my mouth open, so you don't have to leave me a comment about that. It's something new I've been living with, and it has to do with sinus and what's outside in the air. But anyway, I just want to warn you again to do IF number 1, 3, then 2. And if you can't, hopefully you can get past 1. And I bumped into, I've been getting videos suggested to me, and a guy restuffed the power supply capacitor, and he's showing that. And then the next scene, he's using polish on the bezel for the radio. And I'm looking at it like, hey, dude, I got a radio for you, you know. And I won't go into how stupid his video is, but in other words, you watch his video, he's not going to warn you about anything. He's not going to show you anything. He just shows you what he's finished. He don't tell you how to do anything. And that's what aggravated me. That's what aggravates me. That's what causes me to do this type of video. It's totally different. You know, I showed you about putting the capacitor in a little piece of rubber. There's a series of these, and I really should read up on how to link them together in order. That's something I have to do. And, you know, is my retirement, is that what I want for my retirement? To spend my day trying to figure out how to get the comments to work right. The comments are supposed to work where you leave a comment and I can read it and let it post. It doesn't. But you can post on my older videos. It's so messed up. And you go reading, and it tells you how to do it, and it doesn't work. And then it's one of those things where you have to sit and go through it and figure out what they didn't really tell you in one of their instructions. That's my whole life interpreting someone else's bad instructions. And I won't go into the garbage company. That's another nightmare we have here. But just want to tell you, do 1, 3, and then 2. And you should have the experience after 3 to start looking at 2. And take your time. Really look for those tiny wires that come from the coil. And those wires are a lot thicker in the IF cans that have silver mica disease. Those wires are twice as thick as what you're going to be dealing with this radio. And normally the FM side, the wires are thicker, but they're not on this radio. They use the same wire. See, they went to go the cheap route. How much cheaper can we make everything? That's why if you get the same radio at the same time from National, when you see each model that they come out with, or in each rev of the model, like A, B, and C, the radio gets made better. Where Hallicrafters, they make it cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. But I read this was the hardest radio, and then it was hard. But then I realized that other people weren't going into the IF cans. They were having trouble with the discriminator, or their BFO didn't work, and I'm like, you know what? Their radio works on the AM broadcast band. FM don't work right. That's because the discriminator is bad. And you'll see it. If you read enough message, you'll see someone, I got everything working but the FM band. And then someone says it could be the discriminator. Well, if the capacitors in the discriminator are bad, they're going to be bad in the IF can. Oh, I wanted to tell you, I measured a bunch of them. All the ones that are coming out of these IF cans, they read anywhere from 1 meg of leakage to 8 megs. So that's for you, for the technical guys. Well, how much is, and you can't measure the leakage of the capacitors when the coil is across it. You can't measure the leakage of the capacitor when that 220K resistor is across the bottom of it. This IF2, it's been a real, oh man, it's just given and given and given. I think that's it. All right, that's it.